Lofts steps up. That is brilliant!
Lofts, he's on a hat trick. He's cutting onto his left. Luke Lofts! To the mixer. Interesting chest down from Brooks. It's going to sit for Lofts! Of course it's him!
So I'm here with Luke Lofts, so MVP, club MVP, runner-up MVP of the league, golden boot of the league. I can keep going all day here. Golden boot of club. Obviously a footballing athlete as well, so pleasure to have you on. And yeah, what we're going to basically cover today is your story, starting from the beginnings, and also cover some of your injury stuff, as well as this season, highlights of the season, and then wrap up from there.
Perfect.
Awesome. So let's start off with just give us a bit of a background on your playing career. So when you first started playing.
Pretty much always been like a one-sport athlete, which is obviously here in Australia, it's not as common, but I've kind of always just been obsessed with football.
Yeah.
From like 5 or 6, that was kind of my one sport. My dad was a big football fan. He played as well, not to professional level or anything. My brother as well, I had an older brother.
Yeah.
So it was kind of age 5 or 6, like I started playing, and quite quickly it just became like my thing. Like I was just obsessed. Like, I used to go watch Hull City. I was playing Sunday League and got picked up quite early by Hull City. So from the age of 7 or 8. And then, just all the way through teenage years, I was at Hull City, and it's always just been football for me.
Give us a bit of a rundown on your experience, because obviously you said you were at Hull Academy for how many years was it?
12 years.
12 years.
Yeah.
What was that experience like, being part of quite a high level club?
It was a great experience. It was always just kind of normal because it was such a young age. It was just kind of, I couldn't really imagine being out of it or being at another club. It was just kind of what I was used to. But no, it was really good. It was always very professional, and just kind of every year getting 1-year contracts. And as you got older, it would be 2-year contracts. And it was always just you're always on trial, even though you're signed to the club.
Yeah.
If your performance drops, you're out. So kind of getting used to pressure at quite a young age.
Yeah. And what did the setup look like? Like, what was the training regimen? Because in Australia, we don't really have, we've got academies, but
It's more as you get older.
Yeah.
No, from a very young age. So it starts around 7 or 8, where they start to kind of pick up the best players in the Sunday League system.
Yeah.
And you're training 2 or 3 times a week, game on the weekend. And for the first couple of years, they still let you play with your local team, play with your school team. As you get into your 11, 12, into your teenage years, they get quite strict. They want you to themselves. They don't want you to do too much outside. And then, as you get older, it's more, well, obviously more serious, but you can't play extracurricular sports or play for the school team. It's very much like you're theirs kind of thing, which I didn't mind, of course. And you're training more and more. And as a teenager, get to 15, 16, you actually take a day off school to then train with the under 18s, the youth team, to kind of sample the lifestyle of kind of what you're aiming for. And it's just the progression. It just gets more serious the older you get.
Played with a few very, very high level guys that ended up playing at Manchester United and things like that. Why don't you break down some of the guys that you played with when you were younger, or played against even?
Well, just at Hull City, I'd say the most high profile, there's Dan James, who he's now at Leeds, top of the Championship, but he played maybe 50, 60 games for Man United, plays for Wales. Jared Bowen, I was in his youth team. He's playing for England now. He's at West Ham. I think he's maybe the 2nd or 3rd in the Premier League top scorer, so he was obviously a great player as well. But it's tough because there was a lot of really great players that were maybe almost on par with them at certain ages, but it's fascinating how people's path differs. Do you know what I mean? Maybe at 17, 18, they're quite close, and then one goes off to play for England, and some of them are out the game. So it's, but obviously I've played against a lot of great players as well, It's hard to, recall them, but Rashford and people like that, when you're playing against the other youth teams, that just all the ones that are kind of my age.
Yeah.
Weather today, and it's a through ball, and he might be away here. It's Luke Lofts. Lovely skill. Oh, it's a lovely.
What's the difference between the guys that make it and the guys that, because there's, in my experience, playing some of the best guys that I've ever played with talent-wise didn't end up becoming professional footballers.
Yeah,
so
same.
what
Yeah.
have you seen, or have you even seen a common trait among a lot of those athletes that did go on to consistently play at the highest level?
Yeah, I do think there is an element of luck, but I think if you look across the board, I think the mentally strong players go on to have the best careers. I think, of course, you need the ability as well.
Yeah.
So you're going to be useless if you can't kick a ball, but you're mentally strong.
Yeah.
But if I look at players that didn't make it, players that did, maybe technically they're on par. Maybe. But in other ways they're on par. But I think the players that were mentally strong and because of that consistent, they're the ones that when they got the chance took it.
Yeah. Okay.
I think, yeah.
Yeah. What were some of the mental characteristics that you saw in those players?
I think, like with other sports as well, but I think it's been able to bounce back from a failure quick. Missing a chance. A lot of players, it can get to you and then you miss the next one, or losing a game. You go into the next game low on confidence. You need to have a very short memory. I think that's in sport across the board. I think you need to. I've seen people say memory of a goldfish.
Yeah.
You in tennis, you miss a shot, you need to be able to just get back to present and go again. And I think it can be really hard. I found it hard in the past to, when you're low on confidence, it feels like you're never going to get it back. But I think that's what I've learned as I've gotten older. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And talk to me a little bit about why you decided to move to Australia out of all places to come and play here. Like, when was that sort of an idea for you? And give me a bit of a rundown on actually moving here and playing. Yeah,
I think me and my now fiance, but my girlfriend Chloe, we both just kind of wanted something new. We wanted a new country, a new start. She's French, so we were kind of looking into moving to France. It would have been hard for me because I don't speak French.
Yeah, and PSG didn't have the cap
yeah,
either. So
it wasn't in the transfer window. So they kept Mbappe in the end. So so we were kind of looking into things, but then an opportunity came up. A lad who I've played with is playing here, and he messaged me. And I think as I've got older, I like to kind of, when things come to me, I think it's kind of maybe not destiny, but you know what I mean? Like, the opportunity came, and
100%.
I've always been interested in Australia. I was looking into it 2 or 3 years ago, so I just thought, wow, like, great opportunity. We'll come for a few months. If we hate it, we'll go home. But we're still here. We love it. So. And
in terms of Victorian weather, expectations versus reality, did you expect it to be this place that's hot all the time, or did you have? Yeah, you did.
The vision of Australia back home is spiders, heat, which you don't really get any of that here. Snakes, like kangaroo. You think it's just going to be 40 degrees every day. Don't get me wrong, I like it here. Like, I love the weather. I don't mind rain, and I think it can be too hot in other parts of Australia.
Spots,
but
for sure.
But it's not what I expected.
Yeah. And was your first season here at Northcote?
Yeah, I literally came for, I think it was the last 5 or 6 games.
Yeah.
There's like a transfer window at the end, and they brought me in for a few games.
And obviously you and I were going back and forth discussing stuff around your ankle. When were you first having issues with that? Was that back at home already, or was that something that happened here?
No, this was back home. This was just over 2 years ago now. I had quite a nasty sprain.
Yeah.
I don't know what grade. It was quite nasty, and I was out for 3 or 4 months, and it kind of never. It was never the same. It was the tendon was sore. Like, when I was playing, it was the mobility was not there, and I think I kind of. I'd almost accepted that it was just not going to be the same, and I was getting frustrated with it. And after every session, every match, it was really sore, really sore. So obviously, I approached you, and we've gone from there. And it's.
What did the process look like? Obviously, you said it was a 3 or 4 month window. You were trying to get it right. What sort of stuff were you doing to rehab the ankle?
Well, I was going to a clinic, so I was having 2 or 3 sessions a week, but it was fairly generic exercise, and I think, in fairness to them, it's tough to, personalize the exercises when you've only got an hour and then they're on to the next client.
Exactly,
and it's tough for them, but I think, I got back to playing, and I think maybe I got back a little bit too soon even. But I was strapping the ankle, and it was still sore. So, and a year on, it was still sore. It felt like it was just, I needed to do something. Time wasn't just going to heal it. I needed to do something active to make it stop hurting. Yeah.
And after that injury, and obviously getting back and still having that lingering issue that you had through the ankle, was it something you're like, oh, I might just have to accept this for the rest of my playing career, or where was your sort of mindset and mentality at with the injury itself?
I think it had almost got to that point. It was because it had been so long, probably 18 months after the injury.
Yeah.
And I'd been playing for 15. It was still hurting after every session, every game, and I was kind of thinking like, this is just my ankle now. But then there was part of me that was like, no, this, I need to work on it. If I can get it better, I need to do everything I can to try.
Yeah.
And obviously now it's great. So
obviously we've worked together for some time now. What do you feel was the missing pieces that didn't help you get to where you wanted to get to prior?
I think since working with you, I think you just take a lot more of like a holistic approach. So it's like targeting different parts of the body, the calves, the higher up the chain. Load management was a big thing. I think obviously when we started, we dialed it right back. And I think that really helped. And we eased back into it. We didn't just take a month off and then start smashing my legs. And then obviously just the exercises that I've been doing have really helped as well. And also, again, going back to mindset, I remember you saying how, if it's maybe a 3, 4 out of 10, to try and just kind of push it to the back of your mind, it's not the end of the world. And that really made a big difference. I think like, I used to feel it and think, I'm feeling it again. Whereas I got to a point where I'd feel it and kind of just brush past it and get on with it. And then it got to the point where I've been months and months and I thought, I haven't felt it in ages. So I think the mindset was big as well, like not kind of, I'm never going to heal, that kind of mindset.
I think it's also understanding, because obviously your issue was more of a tendon-based thing.
Yeah.
It's actually understanding that it's very, very normal, even 5 years onwards. Obviously that's usually worst case scenario, but even then you can have some lingering symptoms. So if you don't know that that's the case,
exactly,
you're constantly going to be thinking, which is a completely normal thing to think, whenever I'm getting pain in my ankle, I'm doing more damage or I'm potentially doing the wrong thing. Whereas if you then get educated and this is part of it's actually normal and it's actually a part of the process, then it doesn't, you just no longer stress about it.
Yeah,
so,
well, I didn't understand that tendons obviously do take a lot longer to heal because you get blood flow and things like that. So obviously just knowing that gave me peace of mind and let me like trust the process to use that.
Yeah, for sure. And I spent a lot of time curating specific exercise protocols, but I would say the most underrated aspect of the injury rehab process is understanding how pain and injury actually works. Because if you don't, perfect example with your tendon, you got to the point where you didn't have to worry about it because you knew that residual symptom that you had was completely normal. Whereas I think a lot of the time pain is always a negative connotation. Whereas like if you do a hard gym session, you get delayed onset muscle soreness. You're not like, I'm doing damage to my body. You're more so, sometimes you're happy because like, I've actually put a decent workout in. So I think approaching rehab in that lens works, and that's worked really, really well with a lot of tendon guys, because I've had a fair few ankle tendon guys that I've helped. And the biggest thing wasn't obviously the way that you reload the tissue is really important, but if you don't understand what's happening, then all of the exercise stuff is almost not as important as the actual mindset, which for me, as I was a student and early on in my career, I thought it was all about the specifics that you do, but a lot of it does come up to the psychological component.
100%.
It's huge.
Yeah, and I think with you that you kind of mapped out the process for me as well. So like there was method. Do you know what I mean? I knew that I was on the right track and things were progressing and why I was doing the exercise I was doing. I think that helps a lot as well.
Yeah. And did you feel like you had a phase by phase approach when you were doing the previous rehab within a clinical setting? Because a common thing that I get a lot of the time is, come back next week. And you don't really, you're like, when am I just going to keep coming back here for the next 50 years? Like what's the go? It
kind of felt like that. It's almost more common that you just trying to alleviate the symptoms rather than actually get rid of them. Do you know what I mean? Rather than actually healing, you just kind of getting massage and things like that to feel a little bit better for a couple of days. But yeah, it just there wasn't much progression. It was just the same exercises, not really getting much better, but just kind of, the same thing without making progress. Yeah.
And in terms of, obviously we organise your field sessions for pre-season, upper and lower body gym sessions, so it wasn't like typically you get a couple of exercises in a rehab facility and they get you to come back next week, things like that. How did you find that approach of basically having all of your extracurricular training organised for you versus the maybe one or two things that you get given in a typical rehab context?
No, I think it was great, yeah, and I think as well because there was progression, and you made it a big thing to. I wanted to peak at the start of the season, not peak 6 weeks before the season or into the season. So it was kind of that we dialed it back quite a lot, obviously, and I found that quite tough, to be honest. You know, not playing as much football and things like that, but I think I really needed it. And obviously, the season I ended up having, it shows that it was the right thing to do. But yeah, I'd say that I think dialing it up towards the season was really a really good thing, and I felt fresh, and the tendon obviously had less load, which was great for me. So yeah, I think.
And I think another thing is as well, like a lot of people in pre-season, they tend to, like footballers, if they want to get some extra work in, it's always the 5 or 10K jog. It's never, typically never doing like plyometrics, jumps, sprint stuff, because you can do that really early on. And I think it's like, if you look at the risk profile when you do get injured, it tends to be when you are doing those high velocity actions.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably like anyone listening to this, if they are a field sport athlete, in your pre-season, there is more than just going in the gym and getting strong and doing big long distance runs. Like you can sprint in pre-season.
100%. And two things, I think cardio, I've always found personally, you can build that very quickly. Do you know what I mean? You can build that in pre-season with the club very quickly. And also, like I said about the 5 and 10Ks, I've always thought they don't translate to football at all, really. Obviously, there's the cardio base, but it's very different. In a football match, you're not going at a consistent pace for half an hour or 20 minutes. It's stop-start, it's sprint, it's rest, it's different speeds, and I think...
Let's now cover this season, because it's been obviously a really, really successful one. Where was your head at in terms of confidence-wise, even the injury compared to last season?
I think just through pre-season, I was feeling good, feeling fit. The tendon was starting to feel better then. I actually came into my team, I came in late. I signed quite late into the pre-season, so I was kind of playing catch-up a bit in that regard. So I was actually not in the team to start the season, which for me was frustrating because I obviously felt I should be.
Yeah.
So there was a couple of games on the bench, which was frustrating for me. But obviously, as soon as I came into the team, I just wanted to kind of not put too much pressure on myself and just enjoy it. And obviously, I think the first game I scored 2 goals. And from that point, it was like they knew who I was now. They knew I could play. And then again, I think it was my first ever season. From that, obviously I missed the first couple of games, but from that point I played every game. No injuries, I didn't need to recover. I never needed a rest 1 week. Like I felt really good throughout the season, obviously because of the work we'd put in. So
transitioning to a new club, what's that like when you first start? Is it a hard transition when obviously you're learning how 10, 11 other guys around you play? What's that sort of transition like for you, and did you find that challenging at all for that season?
I think I've done it so many times now. You know, I'm at the age now where I've done it plenty of times. But I think it's almost you've got to prove to the other lads that you know what kind of player you are. But at the same time, you don't want to put too much pressure on yourself. So it's letting the other lads know that you can play, that you're there on merit, that getting them to trust you. Do you know what I mean? Trust you on the pitch in that way.
Yeah.
So I think that's not tough. It's just part of it.
Yeah.
It's the same for anyone, even at the top level.
Yeah.
You know, new signings.
Yeah. Has that gotten easier the more times that you've done it throughout your career?
Yeah, I think so. I think you've done it a few times, and yeah, like they're a great group of lads, and I think I find that most places, most teams, it's a good group. All the lads, they've all been through it. They've all joined teams. They know what it's like. And obviously, as well as I get older, I trust in my ability as well. So I know that I'm there on merit. I know what I can bring to the team. So I just know that whether it's now, whether it's in 3 weeks, I'll show them what I can do.
Yeah. And is there any difference in playing style in Australia versus back home that's noticeable in your opinion?
I'd say back in England, it's very physical.
Yeah.
I know it's quite kind of the stereotype. But it's quite a rough. The football, it's for the referees probably give more here. They give fouls for less, which suits me. I'm an attacker, so I'm not complaining. But yeah, it's quite a European style football here. Maybe like kind of a Dutch style. Everyone likes to pass, and it suits me, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah, awesome. And in terms of like the season as a whole, just recap, just so the audience knows how many goals, how many assists for this season.
Yeah, so it was, I think I played 21 games and I got 18 goals and 9 assists.
Yeah, and that was from centre attacking mid most of
attacking
the time.
midfield, yeah.
So yeah, considering obviously Cam it's still a propensity to score goals in that position, but yeah, ton of assists, ton of goals. What were some of the highlights of your season, would you say?
I think just playing every week. I think, in the past few years I've had a lot of injuries and things like that. So I think playing in my position as well, playing as the 10, the attacking mid, and just playing every week. Because obviously as a team we started really poorly. We were bottom of the league, I think, first few games. And just as the season grew, I feel like I grew. I feel like the team grew. I was scoring goals, assisting. And yeah, we ended up finishing quite high in the league. Obviously, it was almost disappointing because we started so bad. Mm-hmm. I think if we hadn't, we might have got promoted even. So, but yeah, obviously it was good that how our season just went up and up. So hopefully we'll carry that on, and I carry that on into this next season.
And I think that's what's even more impressive is the fact that, like, fair enough if you guys were the strongest side in the league and you scored as many goals as you did and as many assists as you did. But as you said, first half of the season, you guys were struggling and you were still putting numbers on the tally, which is like super impressive from an individual level. Obviously, you need guys to be putting goals in the back of the net for you to get assists. But even just the fact that you guys weren't the strongest side first half of the year and you were still performing the way that you did is huge. Yeah,
I guess, as you say, it's easier if you're at the top of the league and winning 5-0 every week to get on the score. But yeah, I feel like I did well on a personal level.
Ton of goals, ton of assists. What do you think was, other than staying on the pitch and not missing any games because you were injury free, which is unreal, from a mentality standpoint, what was the difference between this season and other seasons that you've had, or if there has been any difference?
No, definitely a difference. I think just because of the seasons I've had, the last 2 or 3 in particular, a lot of injuries, a lot of disappointment for me. I think I've played well when I've played, but I feel like I've been held back by injuries. And obviously worked with you extensively this off season, and feeling fit. I just wanted to just enjoy myself this season, and that was kind of the mindset I took on throughout the year, was just to take it game by game, to not have any expectations for a game or for the season or for myself. Just to kind of every game, my priority was to enjoy myself, which sounds kind of a bit, I found quite early that when I'm doing this, I play better and I score more. Do you know what I mean? So if I seek to score goals too much, it can have the opposite effect. Whereas if I let me just play, the goals, the assists, the wins, that all tends to come. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of a paradox, but that's what I found. And I found that in the past as well. When I look back, when I was 18 even, some of my best games was the ones where I kind of wasn't trying too hard, which is frustrating because, the big game, you really want to play well and things don't work. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's a bit of a paradox, but that's what I've found as I've gotten older, and I think it's just really interesting. I think it translates to life as well in some ways.
Yeah. And what are you looking forward to most for the next season that's coming up?
Just again, I guess last year I had almost a full year, but obviously started on the bench.
Yeah.
So this year it's, fingers crossed, a full year, injury-free, every game, and just really excited to hopefully have hopefully an even better year. That's my aim. Yeah.
To wrap up, I've actually got something for you, which I'll go and get.
Oh, nice.
Because obviously you've had an outstanding year this year. What I wanted to do, and I'll be doing this into the future as well, is for whichever, because I'm working obviously with a few different athletes across different sports.
Yeah.
But I think unquestionably the amount of work that you've put in over that pre-season, as well as just the season that you've had, like I said, MVP, runner-up MVP of the league, which arguably I think you should have, that's obviously my biased opinion, but I think you should have taken that as well. Golden boot for both the league and club. So it's like it's hard to top that. Yeah. Maybe if someone won a UFC belt, we would have. The reason why I like using Limitless is because I think the biggest thing and the biggest reason why people go through injury rehab and all of that stuff is to have no limitations. So whether it's being able to play football without, because that was the biggest thing that you said. It's like the happiest part of this season was the fact that you could just play game after game without feeling like you had limitations. So
physically and mentally as well.
Exactly. And I think it is more than just the physical. And I think especially like Western medicine, which I'm tweeting about it all the time and saying that there are a lot of limitations to it.
Yeah.
It's more than just, even guys that have like MRIs with stuff coming back negatives. Like I remember like Andy Murray had, his surgeon or doctor said, oh, you've got hips of an 80-year-old, you'll never be able to play tennis again. And he's like, watch me. So
yeah, if he internalised that, he wouldn't have played again.
And what I hate about the industry, like the injury rehab industry, is where either rehab experts, doctors, surgeons, they say, oh, you'll never be able to do X, Y, and Z again.
Yeah.
Whereas they don't have the skill set, in my opinion, to be able to make those calls.
It's a big call as well, yeah.
So yeah, I wanted to just give you something that we could reflect and remember the season with, because I think it was a sick season. So I hope you enjoy the gift that I got you.
That's great. I appreciate that.
No problems.
Thanks, bro.
Any final things that you wanted to close out on, just to wrap this up?
I can't, not that I can think of. I just want to thank you as well for, helping me have the year I had, and, I feel like I'm getting stronger, getting fitter. I feel like, my body's getting better, and I'm excited for where we can take it. Do you know what I mean? In the next few years, like I can't wait to just keep progressing. So 100%. Thank you for all you've done for me so far. And
you have been so diligent with the entire process. That's allowed you to actually get really, really good results. So no, it's been a ripper season, and keen to have the super strong 2024 as well.
Definitely.
Beautiful. We'll wrap up there, bro.
Perfect. Easy. Thanks, bro. It's good that.